Hello and welcome to the third episode of The Horror with Patrizia Dahlia Thompson. I am here in Hackney, London with Nico Wylde. You are a writer of prose, criticism and poetry. You had a show that you performed, Nicoletta Wylde is Afraid of the Dark, that you performed at the Fringe, and you've written for The Quietest. Hey you guys, and Drowning Sound.
Yeah.
So, to give you context, I, due to the wind yesterday, got to Nico's place at 2:30 in the morning, or sometime around 3. And then today we decided... So, my idea was that I was going to watch, some real sicko, not safe for life stuff that I hadn't seen before. We were both going to watch it, and then I would react we react and talk about it. Well, I'll talk about the movie that we watched today. Was 2003's August Underground Mordum. And I assumed that you had seen this one because you've seen the guinea pig stuff and the not safe for life kind of internet gore movie.
Yeah,
videos.
I guess I just never really got that far. Didn't quite get to August, even though it starts with an A.
But before we get into that, it's a broad question, but why? How long have you been into horror since? As long as you can remember, and do you remember what was the thing that started getting you into it?
Gosh, when I was a child, I was scared of everything.
Same here. I actually think a lot of horror fans actually were scaredy cats when they were kids. That seems to be a fairly common thing.
Yeah, even roller coasters and injections.
Same.
Yeah, so I think when I started watching horror films, and obviously it's always somebody shows you one at their house, a sleepover that they're not supposed to, right?
Yeah.
It's quite it was just quite cathartic. Also, I do really enjoy being scared, and I always have done. So I guess I was probably around the age of 14, 15 when I started watching, The Exorcist and, yeah. And then since then I love it. It's my favourite genre. And, yeah.
You were the person who introduced me to necromantic. As I said in, the first episode. We were very close before I first came here, but when I saw the necromantic Blu-ray, I was okay, real kindred spirit sicko here. I was friendship can definitely grow here. I was but so Jörg!
Hi.
Hi Jörg.
Hi.
I'll try and get you on. So with August Underground's Mordum, this was made by, it's credited to 4 directors, which is KILLJOY, Fred Vogel, who runs Toe Tag Pictures, and Christy Wiles, Jeremiah Cruz, and Michael Todd Schneider. Fred Vogel is the guy who runs Toe Tag Pictures, and basically he kind of made the first August Underground movie, which is a faux snuff film. And he kind of made these films originally as a kind of demo reel for what he could do with SFX. And we skipped the first one. I assumed, I said, that because you'd seen the guinea pig movies that you'd seen this one. But you hadn't done. I kind of knew that, the plot of the first one is very loosely, they're serial killers. But I guess, holy fuck, this movie goes there. And I'm even kind of, dreading, how do I answer, what did you think of this film?
I can't in good conscience say that I enjoyed it, but then I also kind of did in places.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of never want to see it again, but also it was cleverer and better written than I thought it would be
100%.
in places. So yeah, it's the irreversible conundrum again, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I can't in all good conscience. I don't know. I kind of really liked it. I have to be honest. I really liked it. It is wrong and it is gross, but it is genuinely it just genuinely goes there. It's genuinely of the film. The first film, he dubbed a bunch of VHS tapes of it and kind of left them lying around.
Amazing.
Because it really kind of there is end credits in the movie, but basically from the moment that it starts, you're kind of dropped in. And there's not really a lot of context that you're given to the characters. There's not even really, like... It kind of achieves this thing of just, like, representing, like, just meaningless violence that just keeps repeating. Because it doesn't even really seem like there's, like, a kind of clear... not even narrative, but, like, a clear sequence of events to the violence that happens. But basically, it is about... Shot by the serial killer Peter Mountain, who is played by Fred. His sadomasochistic girlfriend, Krusty... Who basically is... Oh my god, I love Krusty so much. Ugh. And, like, her presence in the movie totally, like, makes a difference. Because having a girl be... And there is, like, sexual violence that's done by the guys. But having a girl be the one who is the most depraved, particularly depraved sexually, really does add a different element to the film. And really does... And she wasn't in the first one. And there's Maggot, who is Krusty's brother, who at the beginning of the film she's having sex with.
She's fucking, yeah.
Yeah, she's fucking. So the very first scene in this movie is a moment of cuckoldry where Peter walks in on Krusty fucking... Well, he doesn't walk in, he kind of walks up to the door and peeps in through the door on them fucking.
And then he gets mad about it.
Immediately
mad about it.
And kind of like, when she comes down, Krusty starts cutting herself, which is when the self-mutilation, which is... one of the most disturbing elements of the movie is kind of introduced. So Krusty like starts cutting herself and he is basically aroused by it. But I know you had a lot to say.
I did have a lot to say
about the self-harm aspect of it.
I mean, obviously self-harm is a thing, you know, like it happens in films, but I think where it really fell down in terms of being shocking with me is because the wounds were real and people don't... It's like blood doesn't move the way you think it does, and so I think that the shock level that they were intending to go for maybe wasn't as high with that. But I will say the bit where she drags the glass across her stomach was very shocking.
Yeah.
Very, very, very much shocking. But yeah, it's quite hard to have genuine, and obviously, you know, there's a whole thing with having genuine wounds, like that's in a film, like, whoa, you're genuinely cutting yourself. But I think it made it less shocking. And I would have mixed some SFX blood in there and thrown it around a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can overstate, like, the challenge was to go sicko mode, and, like, this film, like, at a certain point you were like, this is too far for me, like, this film, I mean, consider it, like, yourself spoiled if you don't want to spoil it, you can find it, you know, turn off now and watch it, but, like, I can't in all good conscience recommend this to many people. Like, I'm even considering, like, how I'm gonna write a Letterboxd review of it. Like, will I log it on Letterboxd? What people will think of me, you know?
It's gotta be, like, a one-word review. What it needs is, like, no, or something. Or, like... Krusty, I don't know. Maybe it could just be Krusty. That's all we care about is her.
Krusty is amazing. She looks like a model from like Suicide Girls or Burning Angels circa kind of 2001.
Yeah.
She's films from 2003. She's almost got like the kind of like almost dreads the kind of alt-white girls had at the time.
Yeah, they're not dreads though. It was like you got these little rubber bands and then you put gel in your hair and then you like twisted them.
Girl things I'm learning.
Yeah, and then you like twisted them and then they were dry, so they were like they look like dreads, but it's just hair and these really weird little elastic bands that you could put around your finger and like play with people in class. Yeah. Yeah, but I think she's framed as like very much the fetish of a hot, sexy goth girl, and like she is, she's gorgeous.
Absolutely. I think one of your notes was give this girl whatever, or give her whatever she wants.
Yes, give her what she wants immediately, and then run away very quickly.
There's a scene where they have like abducted this lesbian couple. I'm gonna have to give props to Krusty Wylde who plays Krusty, because like. Her performance is insane. I think one of the things in general that, like, this film, like, I don't know where to begin. Like, this film feels like it was dredged from hell. Like, it genuinely feels like, how did people make this? In one of my review of Necromantic, I remember saying, like, people made this, and now I'm describing it to you, and you have to hear about it. Like, the thing that's amazing about it is there is like one moment where Maggot is gut fucking the open wound in his stomach There's that moment with the gut fucking.
The gut fucking.
And the actor who is playing the kind of victim in that scene, she's kind of failing to play dead. But I will say, that's the exception to the rule, because the performances in this film are incredible. Yeah. And like, this isn't like no budget. This is like the deep underground. I remember hearing of August Underground probably like when I first got into horror fandom online when I was like 16, 17, and it was one of the kind of like white whale, this is the most disgusting film like most disturbing film you'll ever see type thing. But I never got around to watching it. But the thing that makes it so kind of like feel so real is the performance of people, and the fact that this is like I said, like this is a no budget film. Like, how did they convince people to do some of these stuff that is done in this film? And the prolonged kind of torture scenes with the humiliation aspect is really like some of the most kind of challenging aspect of it.
What I'm going to say as well is I think what stood out to me is and as you said, I've seen, I don't know why, but I have seen Guinea Pig and Melancholy de Engel, and they don't have as much of a narrative structure or relationships between the characters. Yeah. Those films tend to be either all out and out gore or just, for no reason, and I feel like the edge of humanity that was in it is probably what saves it from just being 100%. Yeah.
Like, I mean, when we try and describe the plot, I mean, as much as there's a plot, it's a selection of kind of different scenes of them, killing. There's a scene where they go to, like, I guess you'd call it, like, people would call it a flop house, like a place where like unhoused addicts are living, and like this film is like, it's, to say the least, like, it's not PC. Like, I mean, you could say it's 2003, and like, I mean, interestingly enough, like, Fred Vogel ended up making a movie called The Last Interview, and he made a movie, I can't remember the name of the other film that he made that was written by Rebecca Swan, but he has directed 2 films that are written by a trans woman who wrote the Cigarette Burns episode of Masters of Horror. So it's like, I'm going to assume that, like, he is cool with queer people. This film has such, I think, interesting, the ways in which it represents queerness or the fear of queerness is really interesting. But there's definitely, there's a lot of use of the F of faggot being thrown around. There's kind of like interesting like moments where like the guys will react really aggressively to kind of any implication that they're gay. But there's also like with the scene where they go to the flop house, like, they're not nice towards addicts. Like, they were junkies thrown around, to say the least. And there's a really disturbing moment where they come across this addict who must have shut up, who is kind of I don't know if you say comatose, but they're I
think he was dead.
He was, who's like puked all over himself.
I mean, those are I've got a vague medical background. Those I mean, that is what someone would look like if they
after an overdose. I'm
not going to say that's what he was supposed to, but the black and the vomit is, I mean, that's how you would.
Yeah. There's that scene. There's this prolonged sequence where they have kidnapped these 2 lesbians who are like heartbreaking in that they keep trying to like just like hold on to each other, and basically like crust. What I was gonna say was that, like, I have to applaud Christy Viles on her performance, but the first thing that is just like incredible, I don't know how she does it, is like the amount. Like, okay, so I was nearly going to pick one of the Slaughtered Vomit Doll movies, the Lucifer Valentine movie. I was nearly going to pick one of Lucifer Valentine's vomit fetish, like, vomit gore movies. And then I was like, do you know what? No, I can't deal with puke, and I can't deal with that amount of puke going against the glass table. However, the amount of puke in this film, there is a scene where Krusty is just vomiting on these girls and rubbing the vomit around them, and it's so vile and it's so prolonged, and this movie is 70 minutes long, but yet it felt interminable in a way that I can't complain about because it was effective. But like you said at one point, it felt like we've been watching it forever.
My second last note says, I feel like I've been here for about 400 years. And it was 1 minute 21. Like, it was 1 minute 21. It wasn't even an hour and a half.
Let's shout out to the VCH crew. Are we going to talk about that? Okay, so this film is very real in many ways. Like, it's not just the extreme gore, because fuck me, like, there is stuff that goes beyond. Like, there is, like, there's another scene where they have these two people that they've been keeping in coffins for a long time. And the first one, this woman, and it's very interesting, and this is not an original observation, other people have kind of pointed out, but it really struck me, is how much the victims in this are dehumanized, in that they're constantly shown with masks on their faces. Yeah. They're really, like, dehumanized to a huge degree, which doesn't make it less disturbing in terms of the violence. I think it
made it more disturbing.
I think it makes it more disturbing because it is about that degradation aspect of it. But there's this scene where they take the woman out, she's raped by all the guys, and then they force this man to... and this was a key scene that was used in Louise's Fantastic Fest castration 100 Best Kills montage. And there is this, like, scene where he is forced to cut off his own penis, but it gets worse because there's, like, a moment where you see, like, the outer layer of skin of the penis come away, and you see, like, the internal parts.
What?
And then
degloving, that's called.
Yeah.
Deglove his penis.
And then they take... Krusty is, like, holding the penis in her hands and kind of, like, kissing it like it's a small animal. And then they shove that penis inside the woman. So, but, like, there's this, like, a lot of extreme violence. But there's also, like, a lot of extreme... Like, I have to say, I am fucking in... Like, I'm going to say it. I'm in love with Krusty Wylde. I don't know what she did after this. I don't know what she's like as a person.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Does she want to go on a date? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
She's like, she is like heroin chic for as a bulk.
It's just the vibe, the complete... I mean, you know I love that. I dress like a fucking grown-up... Sorry, I can't swear, can I?
You can swear, yeah, we are in that explicit tag.
Great, okay, yeah, I dress like a fucking 90s teenager anyway, most of the time,
vibes.
So, like, obviously... obviously,
no, I mean,
I was
like,
gonna love her.
Like,
but yeah, I think it's...
girl.
Yeah, but I think it's really... You were saying about the queerness, but, like, I think it's really important that she also quite clearly preferred female victims.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there was, like, between the two, there was, like, disparity, again, that just made it a bit... These people are completely unhinged and they've got no idea what's going on, and that's terrifying because they could hurt anyone.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But, like, her, I think they're all really... I think everybody in the film is really good. I think, like, even Margaret's really good as well.
Yeah.
The Fort Killer is... So, like, there's these scenes where they kill different people. They go and visit their friend, who is played by KILLJOY from the band Necrophagia. That's a Many Scream band.
Many Scream. I'm coming round to it.
But Nico did not share my love for extreme metal and would refer to it sometimes as Many Scream. You just can't hack the amount of scream.
Many Scream.
But they go and they meet him. He shows them... They hang out in his house. He shows them his kind of, like, kill cellar where he's got all these body parts, including, like, a decapitated baby that's got maggots around it, and then he rapes a woman that he's kind of kept hidden from Peter and Krusty and Maggot. And then, like, aside from that, I mean, a lot of it is kind of moments of just... It's kind of interspersed with just moments of their day-to-day life. Like, it feels incredibly real. And, like, I mean, it's kind of a chicken and the egg case, because I know how important these, like, these films were to Louise, but, like, I can definitely see, like, so much of kind of the castration movie films in these, just in terms of the kind of raw form of it. Like, if there's cuts, like, they're done in such a way where, like, I cannot tell where the cuts are in scenes. So, like, these are prolonged sequences that are going on and on. Like, how they were filmed, how it was negotiated with people, like, what was going to be done to them. Like, it's quite incredible. But there's also, like, in the... to get back to the VCH...
When does it not come back to my VCH?
To go back to the VCH. What does it stand for?
It stands for vertical clit-hood.
And it is a piercing that is now illegal in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, so basically...
So no one we know has one.
Yeah, no, I got mine done before they banned it.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah, genuinely. But, yeah, they banned it because people that had female genital mutilation were saying that... Well, their carers were saying it was a piercing. And
yeah.
It's a weird one, actually. I actually do agree with that. Like, I think if that's what they were saying, then you should outlaw it. But
Yeah.
because it's illegal, technically the nurses have to report it, but I've never been reported.
Yeah, no, I think
they just sort of go, oh, okay, like if it's, if it's not.
I think they can kind of context clues.
But it's really interesting because whenever I go into hospital and have procedures and stuff, it's really interesting to see if they write it down or not.
Yeah.
'Cause some of them do and then ignore it, and some of them don't. But anyway, there's a bit in the film where
Krusty, well, you see her, like, she is not shy. She gives a fully naked performance in every sense of the word. Her ability to puke on demand is incredible. There was a moment, and I suppose, like, this is what is effective, is, like, towards the end of the scene with the lesbians, I was just like, I hope that this girl dies, because, like, it's so prolonged that you want them just to kill them. But there's so much puke, and then they puke, and it's absolutely vile. But, like, she's incredible. Psychotic goth girls, like, what can I say? Like, or psychotic goths, like, my type. Like, what? What can I say? Like, if she wanted to bully me around, I'm sure I could agree to it. Maybe not all of it. Don't puke on me, please, would be what I'd say.
She would, though.
Yeah, she would.
If you told her not to, she would.
It's very...
make a point of doing it.
Yeah.
But you're right, actually. I hadn't thought about how extended all those scenes were, because I didn't think I saw a cut.
No, absolutely
not. I feel like
not.
it was rehearsed over and over and over.
It has this, like, real verite feel to it of, like, one of the things that you said immediately afterwards, because we were kind of trying to, like, hold our thoughts for the recording, was that, like, you can't beat, like, the shot on VHS aesthetic, but it adds this, like, huge amount of griminess and kind of authenticity to it that really just makes it feel so much dirtier. And in the same way that, like, the first Necromantic movie feels slimy in a way that, like, not many other films do, and I think a lot of it is down to the fact that film was shot on Super 8.
Yeah,
and one of the reasons why I love you, York. I don't. I prefer the first one to Necromantic 2. Necromantic 2 is a bigger budget movie, which is subversive in its own way, but it does lack a bit of that kind of immediacy, like the real kind of raw punk rock rawness of the first one. But this, like, it's the thing is that I can't deny that, like, this film is incredible. Like, I personally think it's incredible.
Yeah, and seeing people do those sort of, perform those sort of acts, and then pull off the road in their car for a sign that says "Yay boobies."
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, who doesn't think "Yay boobies"?
Absolutely, every day. I mean,
and it's so like that. And then in those moments, for me, they just seemed like stupid kids.
Yeah.
And then it flips to the worst thing imaginable, and you're like, oh.
To me, and it's interesting because, like, the dialogue, is a lot of swear words, like, to like a level that, like, I've rarely seen in anything. But the dialogue in that respect kind of reminded me of, like, the stuff from Rob Zombie's Firefly trilogy and his Halloween movies. But the moments of, like, them just, living their life, going and, driving around, kind of just doing, like, normal shit, it made me think of the scene in The Devil's Rejects where they stop for ice cream. And, like, you're given this real moment, and it has no bearing on the plot, but it's, like, this moment that really humanizes them and makes you think, like, they just like me for real. They also eat ice cream. They're also normal people. Well, not normal people, but they're also human beings. And I feel like the kind of, like, the non-kill sequences were a nice break from how disturbing that got. But also, like, it adds that layer of humanity, and I love that, like, they have a, like, going to a DIY, like, metal show moment, and Krusty looks absolute fucking vibes in her, like, white dress.
A Kinderhore vibe, I love it.
Yeah, the Kinderhore vibe with, like, the white dress.
Do we still call it that? That's what I would call it. Are we allowed to use the word? Is that? I think that might be problematic these days to say Kinderwhore.
I mean, when we say Kinderwhore, we're talking like that Queen Adrena.
Yeah,
like,
Courtney Love.
Yeah, Courtney Love. Like,
I mean, that's what we used to call it back in the day, but I don't.
My makeup is smeared because I'm, like, so strung out of it.
Yeah,
kind
literally.
Of, like vibe. Yeah, absolutely. We'll find that one out.
We'll Google it.
We'll Google that.
Princess. What else
that's what we mean. But yeah, she's just fucking vibes. Like, and that scene is, like, it's incredible. I just love a good DIY kind of underground movie, having the we go to our friends gig moment. Like,
I mean, what I thought was clever as well, and I don't know if you noticed, but the longer we got through the film, the more dialogue there was. And the more cutaways there were. So, you know, it was like we sort of got to know them in reverse.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's like we're dropped, like I say, it's like we're dropped into media res of like, here's just them, and they're going out, you know, to Peter. There's this guy who owes Peter some money. And then we kind of like contextually just kind of learn about them just through like their interactions and stuff on camera.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but right at the start, all anyone was doing was like giggling manically. There weren't even any words until like... Which I think is a really clever way to shoot a film, actually. In
terms of any kind of like plot, they do some home invasions. Maggot gets his septum pierced for real, which being that I have a septum ring, I was like, okay, I know what that feels like. And then Maggot and Peter get into a fight, and he tears Maggot's septum ring out of his nose in a scene that is just fucking incredible.
I knew that was going to happen.
Terrible to watch, but fucking incredible.
Second I saw him in that chair, I was like, I know exactly what's about to happen. It's not going to be pretty.
And then, like, the movie kind of ends with, like, them doing a home invasion, seemingly, and Peter has got this woman strung up, and he's arguing with them, and Maggot is fucking a dead child in the bathtub.
That was the bit that went too far for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Leave the babies alone.
I mean, yeah, that was hard to watch, and but then
you'll never have to grow up. Like, what?
Oh god,
what?
It is so. Some of the things they say to each other is so vile.
You just made it 100 times worse.
So disgusting. I mean, and as well in the scene where they're going around Killjoy's kind of like murder shack, Krusty starts getting sick from the smell. Like, there's this amazing kind of like shot that he has, which seems to be almost like a kind of like shrine of different body parts, but like so many different. What? You were like, how many people is that? Like many different body parts.
I tried to count and I couldn't work it out. Like, but it was definitely at least 3.
Yeah.
If not more, nearer to 5.
Peter and Maggot finally get into this kind of confrontation. Peter, Maggot, and Krusty are fighting. Peter slashes the throat of this woman and makes Maggot kind of like lie under where the blood's gonna pump out of, and then it kind of seemingly ends with Maggot cutting his throat, and then that's the end of the film. It's credits, and then there's a moment of a long shot of a cat eating a mouse.
You just needed a metaphor.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go, just in case you didn't catch it.
Didn't catch it. But it's like telling as well, and maybe it's just a case of like they would have to have like built prop animals, but like it doesn't have any animal cruelty stuff in it. No. The animals in it just get treated very like well and kind of like compassionately, and it's kind of interesting that it didn't go for that as the kind of
that's
low hanging fruit of the gore movie kind of thing.
That's an old trick to humanize something. I think more in book, because I went to writing school, and when I was taught to write, they were full on like, if you want to humanize a murderer, immediately give it a pet.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's a trope, but it's a trope that exists
it's a trope that
for
works,
a reason, because
it
works really well. One thing really kind of like interesting scene I thought was the scene where Maggot is cutting his hair, and you want to talk about that because it kind of like the perspective of someone having a breakdown.
Yeah, okay.
As someone who once said to a friend, did you shave your head is this a breakdown haircut? And then they proceeded to have a breakdown.
Yes.
It is very much.
Yeah, I mean, there's, because it happened to me. I cut off all my hair before I had a breakdown. I'm fine now. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's why I even know this, is because I looked it up. But there was a really strong correlation between cutting all your hair off and being mentally unwell enough to be in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what it is, but it's like about 80% of people will remove their hair and then be like, fuck.
Why do you think the reason for that is?
I'm not sure. I guess maybe...
Is it a control thing, maybe? To like get an immediate control on your body?
I can't tell you why I did it.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it's something that you can immediately change about yourself.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, I don't want to be in this head anymore of mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your hair is the easiest thing to change, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I guess maybe...
Well, it's the point where like there's even like memes that are like, a breakup service that will deliver hair dye to you at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
Like,
but it was really funny when I was in the hospital because everyone had like really short, fucked up hair, and I was like, oh, everyone's done this then, not just me.
One of the first present that Nico ever gave me was their poetry book and a chapbook about their time in the hospital, which I thought was like really good as a kind of onboarding document. Here you are. Here is my trauma.
Here is my trauma.
But I think in that scene where Margaret is cutting his hair, it's like really, there's really real, like, and aside from the kind of like, you know, incestual tenderness, but there's real tenderness with Krusty in that scene where she keeps telling him he's beautiful, which I think is really interesting. Yeah. And then...
I mean, I took it as more of his descent into... And she's trying to reassure him because she's the only one that really understands. Or even saw it, I think. Yeah. Like, it was like, oh no! Which, again, is kind of humanising them.
And it's like, I kind of thought it was interesting that in the final scene, he's got his kind of hair... His hair has the kind of clips in his hair, which is like a very... interesting kind of like feminine
considering he spent the whole film using the word faggot, like.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a scene where Peter is talking about how difficult it is to cut through a victim's clothes. Not saying from experience, but saying from the experience. Not saying from what a out of context quote. But not saying from experience, but the experience of, you know, trying to alter clothing. Like, jeans are very hard to cut up. And he's trying to, like, cut off these clothes, and Krusty is, like, taunting him, being like, why are you a faggot? Do you want to see his dick? Yeah. Like, all this kind of stuff. Like I said, like, the kind of, the kind of, like, gender and sexuality stuff of it is very interesting in terms of how it's kind of portrayed. Also, like, KILLJOY, who is, like, the killer, I just, like, when I saw him, I was like, every smoking area of a metal pub has this. Nah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
hey babe, we saw you across the metal bar.
You know, definitely he could be at the satanic flea market.
This is my girlfriend. Incredibly attractive gaslighter.
This is my girlfriend.
I'm gonna come back to mine. Yeah.
This is my girlfriend who has no idea of her self-worth and how much better she could do than me. Like, for real. I mean, do you have any other kind of notes that you want to talk about?
I think that's pretty much everything that I had down. Oh, the cock chair.
Oh, yes.
The cock chair.
We have to mention the cock chair.
We have to mention the cock chair.
So, in the prolonged scene with the lesbians, it is definitely like...
Look, they torture these poor women, and it's really affecting, but, like... Obviously, that because there's 4 of them, Krusty only wants to do it by herself, so the rest of them are all just kind of hanging around.
Yeah, and it kind of like keeps going back to Peter, who is like masturbating and saying like, I'm so turned on by this.
We're just standing in the corner of the bar, and I was like, get that man a cock chair.
And then
the cock chair arrives.
The cock chair arrives. I was like, incredible.
Shout out to the cock chair.
Shout out to the cock chair.
That man does not deserve to masturbate standing up to that scene. She's taken her time, you know?
There is like, yeah, there's definitely... Because he's incredibly jealous and will start fights with people over... fucking Krusty, but like there's definitely an element as well where he is a cook, like he is enjoying
and
watching.
I kind of think like when that's a really good point. I kind of think that opening sequence does get reframed because, like, you know, he's like, oh, my sister, blah blah blah. There is an element of cocking there between the 3 of them that like doesn't really come out till the end.
There's a very kind of like twisted dynamic at play between the 3 of them, between this like man and woman who hate each other, which I've never seen in real life, and their third, who is her brother. What happens when the trouble is you and your boyfriend and your brother?
You start an OnlyFans?
Oh God! No, they wouldn't allow that.
I reckon there's loads of... You just say, oh, it's just all fake. What are they going to do? I know you do have to give... Actually, out of experience, you do have to give them your ID.
You have to give the ID,
yeah. They'd be like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Like this... like I said, like... I can't... I'm very like nervous to recommend this to people. I'd be like, but if you want to see like a vision of hell, and you want to see a film that really fucking goes there. Now I will say, like I said, Fred, he worked in special effects. He ended up doing the effects for Tom Savini's segment of the Theatre Bizarre anthology film that David Gregory from Severin was involved in putting together. Much like kind of like with the first Terrifier film, like this is hugely like a showcase for his effects work, and like they are incredible.
They were very well done. They were very, very well done. There's a bit with the bag.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it too much, but
the gut sequence, the sequence where the guts are being pulled out is like incredible. Like, it's amazing.
And this is what made me pick up on going back to the being real wounds thing, because they were able to make that look incredibly visceral. I'm assuming they're pig guts or whatever. It just would have been nicer if they'd highlighted the kind of... I think like the elements of self-harm really kind of like highlights this fact that like the killers in this film aren't just a danger to, you know, their victims. They're a danger to each other, and they're a danger to themselves. And it's a really depressing kind of perspective, if I want to be. I mean, it's interesting. It did feel like a swan song to me. It felt like this is the last things we're doing before all of us eventually caught or kill ourselves. Right?
Definitely. For real. There's like
a
real kind of like fatalism to it that is just very kind of clear. Like
doing that until you hit a wall, just carrying on.
Because, you know, I think like it's interesting, you know, that I said like the first Terrifier was like similarly Damien Leone's showcase for the art character, but also for his special effects work. Because I think what's interesting about those films is that they have kind of crossed over in a huge way, and that like I saw, like I said in the last episode, like the thrill of going and seeing something that fucked up in a multiplex is really cool. It's a huge thrill for me. But like those movies kind of are like slasher movies, but like with the gore and the kind of focus on suffering, they kind of almost lean into this like 2000s underground horror kind of aesthetic as well.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Definitely. Is extreme horror in particular like how much of a sicko are you, and if so, why?
I mean,
what is the appeal of like this stuff that is, you know, because it's not a question that I can answer easily. So that's why I'm kind of interested in other people's answer. Like, what is it about this kind of extreme horror that is appealing?
If you wanted...
Or is interesting?
I mean, if you wanted the actual answer, I genuinely do think it's because my brain is wired chemically different. And unfortunately, I always have enjoyed gore.
Yeah.
You know, like when you could go on Rotten.com, I've always been into it, but I don't really know how mentally well that makes me. So, yeah, I don't really know that, like, wanting to see blood is necessarily a positive aspect.
I think for me, I don't know. I mean, like... Yeah, there's just being a sicko girl, but also
is that a way to vent it that's a healthy way, right? Like that's what I think personally. I think my lust for blood is best vented on watching really violent horror films,
I have no interest
in taking it out on myself.
No, 100%.
You know, God knows who else. I'm not a murderer. Don't put me in jail. Not yet, anyway.
But for me, I think it's like, you know, we are both, you know, queer millennials, and I think, especially increasingly as the things we loved growing up are revealed to be made by the worst men in existence, I think like this pressure to, or not pressure, but like this feeling of trying to do what's morally right and do what's ethical is a constant one. And for me, I think these movies like allow me to enjoy stuff that is transgressive and disreputable, but it's not real people, so I'm not going to feel bad about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, I would agree with that too. I'd agree with that. I think as well it's just the landscape of how we grew up, you know? We were the early users of the internet. You'd come across these things even if you...
Yeah.
At our formative years, even if you weren't looking for them like I was. Somebody would send you up via email and you know what I mean? And they'd come
absolutely.
Up. So I guess maybe we were programmed to be like, oh my God, wasn't that scandalous? Maybe let's seek out more scandal on some level, right?
Yeah.
13-year-old me like, oh, I can't believe I did that. And you get that rush and you're like, let me do it again.
We like seeing this stuff via like like you said, like Rotten.com was also like the kind of like the video randomizer kind of ones.
Yeah,
like,
and even like when the chat rooms were open, people will just, remember you used to go on, I don't know if you, maybe, it was only 4 years, but like you used to be able to go on a chat room and just speak to anyone anywhere around the world, and they could just send you anything, and there was like no verification, and a number of men that quite clearly weren't 15, but yeah, I guess I would see gore more than I would see a penis, which I guess is actually a good thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I think for whatever reason, my brain is wired a bit backwards, and it's a healthy way to vent that without it spiraling, right? Sound like a fucking serial killer. Maybe I am.
No.
Maybe this is what makes me realise. And then I go on a killing spree, and then you get to have your Netflix documentary, and you can make up a whole bunch of shit about stuff that I told you.
Where I get to come in and sit in the chair, and they go, sound rolling, and I sit in the chair and go, yeah, they were really nice,
No one ever expected.
Until they ate that guy's face.
Face. Love a bit of face.
There's some really good face in this film, because you see like the bits of face in the sink as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is any kind of... I don't think this film has any point, which I think is beautiful. I think it's beautiful that it exists as this purely like transgressive fuck you statement. And also like another thing is the aspect of the video is it makes it more disturbing, because at times it is genuinely hard to tell.
Yeah.
Like what you are seeing.
Yeah. And
there's some purposeful degrading done on the video as well at points.
That bit where it was like, is that a toe? Oh no, it's a penis. Apologies to whatever actor that was.
But it does add this element to it that I think having it kind of more glossy would take away. Although that also works for some films. Like we mentioned Melancholy der Engel, and I also think definitely with a Serbian film, the fact that those films look so well made and look so well presented makes you kind of wonder, like what the power of this movie is, like, how was this made? Like, how did people come together?
I gotta say, this was Melancholy der Engel is worse. This comes afterwards, and then I would put Serbian film possibly after Guinea Pig. After that, if I had to rate the ones that are immediately coming to mind, because especially Guinea Pig 2, number 1 is kind of meh, but the second one, which is the Charlie Sheen one, it really does look real.
What Nico's referring to, if you don't know, is that legendarily, it's true, is that Charlie Sheen viewed the second Guinea Pig movie, which is that one called? Is that Flowers of Flesh and Blood?
That's it, yeah.
Flowers of Flesh and Blood, and reported it to the FBI, thinking that it was a real snuff film.
Well, and this is why I wanted to watch it, because I was like, how, like, and I get it, it does look real.
Yeah.
But my point being, it's that, like, transgressive to the point of being transgressive, but it's just one shot of a woman getting, like, the shit kicked out of her. And I feel like this had a little bit more...
Yeah, definitely.
To it than that. And I'm so used
to
watching gore films that are just like that one in a room. I guess this was a little bit cleverer.
No, I think that's the thing that
which kind of saves it.
I think that's the thing that kind of, like, you said that, like, most surprised you, is that it surprised you how intelligent this one was and kind of how much there was to it, like.
Yeah.
Because I think, honestly, like, the inclusion of Krusty is one of the like, my, psychotic goth girl sweetheart, like, and what a great name for her. Krusty is just a perfect name for this girl.
Yeah.
Because, like, she's definitely Krusty.
You're vomiting so much.
Like, it's incredible. Like, what a skill. Like, I'm in awe of her ability to do that. But I'm in awe of her performance because it's just so raw and just goes there. And, like, there's always that cliche when you talk about horror directors where they're like, someone should, like, check his hard drive, or like like that person seems fucked up. All the interviews I've listened to or seen with Fred Vogel and the things that people have talked to him about, he seems lovely. But, like, I do genuinely question what kind of human being could make this. And then I question what kind of human being are we that we watched and enjoyed this. Is this better or worse that I'm watching this with someone else?
Look, Watch it if you want to. Don't watch it if you don't want to. Like, we can't, in good conscience, say you should watch it, but it was fun. Apart from that child bit, I didn't like that, but...
Yeah, I genuinely think that this
it was a good... I'm going to say it was a good escalation, though. Like, having that near the
absolutely.
end was really like, what the fuck? Like, yeah.
Incredibly disturbing.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you know, if somebody like me can chunk along and, like, you know, I've seen the worst of the worst and be like, not so bad, and then be like, whoa, no, like, that's an achievement.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, to make me react like that
100%.
is an achievement.
Like,
so
this is...
I can't be like, that was the worst thing, how dare he, because, like, actually that's a massive achievement to make me feel something.
Absolutely.
Too far.
I think this one, it genuinely might be one of the furthest I've seen in terms of extreme horror. And I think that it has, you know, to say it's such a kind of trite statement, but it really goes there, and it really pushes the limits of what I thought I could see on film. I kind of love it. I kind of love it. Like, it's awful. And one thing it doesn't have is that, like, it doesn't have that moment in a Serbian film where he kills the guy by ramming his cock into his eye socket. Because, like, that moment in a Serbian film is where it just goes so silly that all of the actual legitimate tension and disturbing stuff is kind of undone for me in that moment, because it becomes like a trauma film, which I love, but that's a different vibe.
So, interestingly, I actually did watch a Serbian film without any subtitles. I don't even fucking know why. Not as devastating when you can't understand what they're saying. Kind of becomes a little bit slapstick. I don't know what's going on, but actually it's quite funny.
I feel like this doesn't have that moment where it goes into ludicrousness.
No, it doesn't at all.
It just remains disturbing.
Yeah. But I think that's entirely because of the performances of the people that act in it, right? It could have easily spilled over into ridiculousness or but they're all so good at just being insane that they never push it too far. Yeah.
I think it, like, I am not going to defend this film as saying that it doesn't go too far. It goes too far. But it feels genuinely transgressive rather than a kind of edgelordy, and, like, it is edgelordy, but it feels genuinely transgressive rather than other kind of, like, gore porn movies
Absolutely.
Of the period, which are just not, and it's better than a lot of that kind of stuff as well. Like, it's actually interesting in a way that, like, a lot of the faux snuff gore porn isn't. Like, it has a level of substance to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would definitely agree with that.
At this point, we're gonna say, what is your final verdict? Can you like simply describe your feelings on August Underground's Mordum? Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't have the words.
August Underground's Mordum should never have been made, and we should never have watched it. And you should never watch it. 5 out of 5.
You should be thankful for us that we watched it for you. And now, when you finish and go and watch it, don't blame us for being scarred.
Yeah.
Because we goddamn warned you.
Yeah. I thought it would be really funny to, like, do warnings for this movie, but it was like warnings for misophonia, or like someone eats shrimps at one point.
Depictions of homelessness.
Depictions of homelessness. scenes of people eating animals, like
angry video guy.
Also that angry video guy. Also, like, that moment when they go into, like, the flop house and they put the camera down in, like, this decaying dinner. That also the other grossest scene is where Maggot eats a maggot that he takes off the dead baby. That's vile.
Can't deal with maggots.
I can't deal with that either.
I can't. Oof is a good review.
Oof, yeah.
Oof.
This film is cursed.
And we loved it.
Please, no judge. Alright, thank you for...